The rain in Connecticut came down in sheets. Julian Vane stood at the window of his bedroom, staring at nothing. 2 years since the accident, and the house still felt like a mausoleum. He used to understand how things worked: supply chains, markets, systems. But grief? Grief made no sense. The small Bible on his nightstand hadn't been opened in months. God is love, the preachers said. Julian's mouth twisted. Love didn't feel like the right word for whatever had taken Eleanor from him. The house stayed that way, dust collecting, mail piling up, until Clara showed up. He'd asked the agency for someone unobtrusive. Clara was not that. She moved through rooms like she owned them, humming under her breath. Younger than he expected, with dark eyes that looked like they'd seen things and decided to keep going anyway. First morning, she brought coffee to his study and yanked open the curtains before he could stop her. Sunlight slammed into the room. "Close them," Julian snapped. "Dust grows in the dark, Mr. Vane," Clara said. "I wasn't hired to let things rot." He looked at her then, really looked. The way the light caught her hair, the set of her jaw. She reminded him of Elena, just enough to make his chest hurt. Elena had been warmth itself. Clara felt like the beginning of warmth, if that made any sense. "You were hired to clean," he said coldly, "not redecorate. Can't clean what you can't see." She wiped a picture frame without breaking stride. "You have to look at the dirt first." A week later, Julian finally said what he'd been avoiding for 700 days. "The north wing, my wife's rooms. I need you to clear them out. Pack the clothes, box up the papers, just empty it." Clara stopped on the stairs. She saw his hand shaking around his phone. Emptying a room is the easy part. "Just do it, Clara." For 3 days, he heard sounds from that wing: rustling fabric, tape on cardboard, footsteps moving through someone else's memories. Julian buried himself in spreadsheets and tried not to think about Eleanor's life being packed into boxes. On the 4th day, Clara didn't knock. She burst in. Her face was pale. In her hands, a small teal journal with a frayed ribbon. Julian knew it instantly. Eleanor's private journal. "I told you to pack, not read," he said, standing up fast. "It fell open. I didn't mean to." Clara's voice shook. "Julian, you need to see the last entry." "I know what she saw," Julian shouted, and it felt like something breaking inside him. "She saw a truck. She saw angels," Clara interrupted. Julian stopped. Clara held out the journal. His hands shook as he took it, opened to the final page. Elena's handwriting, dated the morning she died. "The room was bright this morning, but not from the sun. I woke up and they were there by the window, 3 of them. They didn't speak out loud, but I felt this peace. They told me the Father is ready. I'm not afraid anymore, Julian. I know the crash is coming, but I see the hands that will catch me. My only regret is leaving you in the dark. Please, love, look for the light I'm leaving behind." The journal slipped from his fingers. Julian collapsed into his chair. "She knew," he whispered. "She knew it was coming." Clara knelt beside him, not as an employee, as someone who understood. She didn't wait for death. She finished her race. God didn't want her to go home afraid, so he sent comfort first. "Why didn't he comfort me?" Julian's voice cracked. "Why did I get the screams and the fire while she got angels?" "Maybe he did," Clara said quietly. "Maybe he had her write those words so that 2 years later, when you were ready to stop being angry, you'd know she wasn't just taken. She was escorted." For the first time in 2 years, something in Julian's chest shifted. Not relief, just less ice. "Why do you care?" he asked. "Why does it matter to you if I believe any of this?" Clara sat back, twisting the silver cross at her neck. "Because I lived in that dark place too. My husband Thomas was a medical missionary. We'd been married a little over a year when he went to set up a clinic in the Sahel." She paused. "Terrorists raided the camp. They took him." Julian flinched. "I begged God for months," she continued, her voice steady now. "I offered him everything, but Thomas didn't come home. They sent a video instead." "And you still believe?" Julian said. "After that?" "Not at first. I was empty for a long time." Clara looked at him. But a year later, a letter came through a human rights group. From one of the men who'd been there that day. He said they'd killed dozens of people, but they couldn't forget Thomas. When they pointed guns at him, he didn't scream. He looked at them with this peace that felt like weight in the room, and he told them he forgave them. Then he looked up and smiled, like he was seeing an old friend. She paused. That man went looking for the God who could make someone face their executioner with love. My husband's death planted something, just like Elena's journal is supposed to plant something in you. In the weeks after, things changed at the estate. Julian started coming home earlier. He'd linger in the kitchen while Clara cooked, drawn to her, not as a replacement for Elena, but as herself. The way she tucked hair behind her ear when thinking, the sharpness in her eyes when they argued about theology over coffee. For the first time since the crash, Julian wasn't just surviving. He was noticing life again. But the darkness wasn't done with him yet. Marcus Vane had been watching from the edges. Julian's older brother, the one who'd burned through his inheritance and blamed Julian for it. To everyone else, Marcus was the tragic screw-up. To himself, he was the rightful heir who'd been cheated. Marcus had tampered with Eleanor's car, hoping to destroy Julian completely so he'd step down from the company. It hadn't worked. Now, seeing Julian happy with some housekeeper, Marcus saw another chance. The kidnapping happened on a Tuesday. Clara went to the market for herbs and never came back. The call came an hour later. Distorted voice. 10 million, Julian. Unmarked. Or she dies like the wife did. Clara was held in a damp basement in an old textile mill. Hands zip-tied, but mind clear. The two guards spoke in Spanish, assuming she couldn't understand. But Clara had spent a year in mission prep for South America. She sat with her head down, praying but listening. "Does the boss really think his brother will pay?" the younger guard said. "Julian will pay," the older one replied, lighting a cigarette. But Marcus was clear. "Once we get the money, we tie her up and leave the gas on. No witnesses this time, not like the accident with the wife. Marcus wants his brother broken for good." Clara's heart pounded. Marcus, Julian's own brother. Eleanor wasn't an accident. Julian was frantic, liquidating assets, moving mountains. "Please, God," he whispered in his study, "not again, not her." In the basement, Clara felt a strange calm settle over her. She knew the ransom wouldn't save her. Marcus wanted her dead. She closed her eyes and prayed, not for escape, but for Julian. "Lord, if this is my time, don't let Julian sink back into the dark." Suddenly, the room felt heavy. Not oppressive, dense, like gold. One by one, the guards slumped over. Deep, unnatural sleep. The iron door creaked open. A man walked in, tall, wearing tactical gear that looked brand new, carrying a rifle. But it was his eyes, piercing, almost glowing blue in the shadows. He didn't speak. He knelt, touched the zip ties with one finger, and they snapped like dry twigs. He helped her up. His grip felt warm and impossibly solid. He led her past 3 more sleeping guards, put her in a black SUV, and drove in complete silence. When they reached the Vane estate gates, he opened her door. "Wait," Clara said, trembling. "Who are you? How did you—" "I need to thank you. I need to tell Julian." The man looked at her, and for a second Clara felt like she was staring into sunlight. He didn't look like a soldier anymore. "Do not worry about the debt, Clara," he said, his voice like water over stones. "The price has already been paid. Tell Julian the lion is at the door, but the lamb has already won." Before she could blink, he was back in the car. The engine hummed, and as the vehicle pulled away, it seemed to dissolve into the morning mist. Julian was on the porch, haggard, phone in hand, when he saw her. He dropped the phone and ran, catching her in his arms. "Clara, oh God, Clara!" Inside, wrapped in a blanket, she told him everything. Marcus. The Spanish conversation. The plan to kill her. The truth about Elena. Julian's face cycled through rage, horror, grief. "My own brother." "But Julian," Clara grabbed his hands, "the man who saved me. He wasn't one of your security people." "What do you mean? I hadn't even sent anyone yet." He touched the ties and they broke. Everyone fell asleep. His eyes weren't normal. She looked toward the window. "He told me to tell you. The lion is at the door, but the lamb has already won." Julian froze. Those were the exact words from Elena's journal. Words he hadn't told Clara about. He fell to his knees. Not in grief this time. In surrender. The billionaire who ran on systems and logic finally understood. He wasn't being hunted by a cruel god. He was being pursued by something relentless and protective. Marcus Vane's arrest happened in broad daylight in the lobby of Vane Logistics. Julian stood in the center, hand locked with Clara's, watching tactical units bring Marcus out in handcuffs. Marcus didn't look defeated. He looked feral. As officers marched him past, Marcus lunged forward, voice raw. "You think this is over, Julian? I'm a Vane. I'm still getting my share. You think you can have everything? The money, the girls, the legacy? I'll finish what I started from prison. I'll kill you and everything you love. You're nothing without me." A year ago, those words would have destroyed Julian. Today, he didn't even flinch. "You can't take what doesn't belong to me, Marcus," Julian said quietly. "My life, my company, Clara, we belong to someone you can't touch. I'm not afraid of the dark anymore." The van doors slammed. Marcus's screams faded. 6 months later, bells rang out from a small stone chapel in the countryside. No press, no corporate sponsors, just lilies and candlelight. Julian stood at the altar, no longer the ice king of logistics, just a man whose heart had been replanted. When Clara appeared at the back, she wore simple cream silk and the same silver cross from the day they met. "I used to think love was fragile," Julian whispered, sliding a ring onto her finger. "But you taught me that love is what protects us." "Beauty from ashes," Clara whispered back, eyes shining, every single time. Life at the estate transformed. Silence became music, prayer, the smell of cooking. Julian's wealth stopped being a fortress and started funding clinics in the Sahel, shelters for the broken. Exactly 1 year after their wedding, a new sound filled the master suite, the thin, high cry of new life. Julian sat on the edge of the bed where he'd once sat alone in the dark. Now morning sun poured in. In Clara's arms, 2 small bundles in white wool. "They're perfect," Julian breathed, touching the boy's velvet cheek. "A double portion of grace," Clara smiled, exhausted and radiant.